Hey guys, it's Zach from the ConCon channel, and in this video I'm going to show you the top 5 characters to play in Marvel Rivals. Now starting off at the number 5 spot, we have the Punisher. Now the Punisher is a 1-star difficulty character, which means he's pretty easy to use. Now what makes him so great is that his primary weapon is an automatic rifle, which is pretty easy to use and makes it super fun. If you're used to FPS shooters, this guy will definitely be one of your favorites. He also has an alternative fire, which is a shotgun, which can obviously be used in close range combat. His ultimate is going to be called the Final Judgment, where he brings out 2 Gatling guns, and while he is firing those Gatling guns, he has missiles attacking enemies as well. Now, if you pair him up with the Rocket and Bucky Barnes team up, he becomes super strong when doing his ultimate and his normal fire. He also has a grappling hook that you can use whenever and wherever you place it. I could place it at the beginning of the match and use that same grappling hook later on. You can use it to escape battles, or you can use it to get straight back into the fight. He has a culling turret which he puts down, and this is specifically really good for objectives where you have to capture the point, as if you set it down in the right spot, you can be sitting in a spot and doing absolutely the most to the enemy team on your culling turret. He then has his Scourge Grenade, which is essentially a smoke screen, and when you shoot it down, it deals a little bit of damage, and it also allows you to see the enemies through the smoke while they cannot see you. So it actually makes it super OP for you to get some free hits in while the enemy are just spraying and praying. He also has a passive which allows him to technically see enemies through walls. And the way this works is that if he sees an enemy and he goes behind a wall, he'll have a brief moment where he can see that enemy's outline through the wall, so it makes it really helpful for knowing where that enemy might be or how they are moving. Then at the number 4 spot, we have Jeff the Landshark, which is everyone's favorite healer. Now Jeff is a 1-star character, and he is one of the best healers in this game, and I can say that from personal experience. Now his main attack is that he heals and he shoots out almost like a burst of water, and it's a continuous burst, and it does quite a bit of healing, and it can heal multiple targets in that stream of water. He also has his alternative fire, which is like a water ball, and it deals damage to multiple enemies, and it actually deals a lot more damage than you might think. For his ultimate, if you haven't seen it already, he swallows up the entire enemy, or can possibly swallow up the entire enemy with his ult, and you can use this to throw the enemies off the map, and you can even eat up your teammates to get them into better position. Jeff also has the ability to pretty much go underground, and he can still be hit, but it makes him a lot harder to hit as he is quite fast in his hide and seek mode. And Jeff also heals while in his hide and seek mode, so it can be really helpful for getting out of battles and healing up just to return again. He can also shoot healing bubbles, which is almost like power-ups that he drops on the ground, so if teammates go into them or he shoots it on a teammate, they get a decent amount of healing. Now Jeff's passive is called Oblivious Cuteness, and he reduces damage taken from critical hits, which are going to be headshots. Now the reason this is so good on Jeff is because his head is a pretty big hitbox on his character, so being able to have reduced damage from critical hits can be quite helpful. Then at the number 3 spot, we have Hela. Now Hela is a 3-star difficulty character. She requires a little bit more skill to play, as her attack is quite slow but deals a good amount of damage. So her main attack is going to be the Night Sword Thorn, and it is essentially going to throw 1 dagger every half a second. It is pretty slow, and it does come down to timing the attacks, but once you get it and you can hit headshots, you could literally 3-shot or even 2-shot enemies in the head depending on their health. Her ultimate is also very strong. She goes up into the sky and she launches these like demon souls into the enemies, and it's literally so strong that if paired up with other ults or your team going in on a full attack, you can get so many kills. She also has a neat ability where she is able to turn into a crow, which can allow her to get into high positions or allow her to get out of fights. It can be super clutch sometimes, and I've used it myself to get out of situations where I'm too far in the front lines or I need to get to the point quicker. Now she is going to have another ability called Soul Drainer, and this will shoot a projectile that is an explosive health sphere, and she'll stun enemies and it'll bring the enemies together for you to combo up with your teammates. Now she's going to have an alternative fire with her right click, and it's called the Piercing Knight. These are essentially going to be your primary fire, but instead of shooting one thorn, she's going to shoot 3 thorns, and after a certain amount of time it will explode, dealing some area of effect damage to enemies nearby the sole target. Now Hala has a passive called the Nastron Crown Storm, and what this essentially does is when you deal damage to enemies and you kill an enemy, they have a chance to spawn a crow which will then explode, dealing damage to anyone near that crow. Then at the number 2 spot we have Hawkeye. Now Hawkeye is a 4-star character. He is one of the strongest duelists in this game, and the reason for this is because he can literally one-shot headshot. I don't think there's any other character in the game that has the potential to one-shot, but he can literally one-shot if he hits a fully powered up bow to the head. Now that is going to be his primary fire, and if you change to his alt fire, it is going to be called the Blast Arrow, and what this essentially does is it shoots 3 explosive arrows which will hit multiple targets, and this is why it's so good, because you're shooting 3 arrows and you're dealing explosive damage at the same time. Now if you just have the basic skill of using characters like Hawkeye, in a sense that they are like sniper type of characters or characters that require more precision than most, he will be really good for you, and he is super strong with his abilities. He also has the Crescent Slash, which will unsheath his katana and slash forward, and it will deal damage to multiple opponents as the slash goes across a wide area. He also has a Hypersonic Arrow which deals 2 instances of damage in its path, and it's pretty much like a collateral arrow. Like, its whole purpose is to hit multiple targets and go through multiple targets. Then he has the Ronin Slash. Now this is an ability you use to deflect incoming projectiles. So you use it if, for example, Hela shoots you back with her thorn, and you can deflect that thorn away. Then he also is able to perform a double jump. Now his passive is called Archer's Focus, and essentially what this does is if you charge up your arrow and you aim at an enemy, it enhances the damage inflicted by piercing arrow. Now Hawkeye's ultimate is going to be called the Hunter's Sight. What it essentially does is it creates after images of the opponent, and these are going to be multiple, almost like holograms of the enemy, and if you just shoot at that hologram, it's going to deal damage to the actual target, so you don't even need to hit the actual person. And these holograms are static holograms, so they are in one spot, they are not moving. So if you can just hit headshots on them or deal damage to them, you'll be dealing damage to the actual player. Now at the number 1 spot we have Iron Fist. Now this guy is probably one of the most annoying players to come up against, because he just never seems to die and he seems to do so much damage. Now he is also a level 4 difficulty character, but he is definitely easier than most level 4 characters to play in my opinion. His main attack is going to be the Jeet Kune Do, and this is just going to be a basic melee and kick attack. And he has this little circle that appears on enemies that will essentially lunge him towards the target. He is one of the melee characters that can actually has an automatic lunge. You'll see that there's going to be a dot, and if you see that dot, that means any melee within that distance is just going to automatically hit the enemy. Now, I do think they need to nerf this and make the range a bit further, because if you haven't seen clips of it, you literally have Iron Fist chasing down Iron Man, who is flying at full speed away, and he is just attacking him and constantly getting lunged towards him because of that attack range distance. Now, he has another attack that he can do by holding your left click, and it is a flurry of punches called Yachi Chung Kyun, and this will deal a whole bunch of punches to the enemy, and it deals quite a bit of damage. He then also has his shift button, which is the Kunlun Kick, and this just is an area of effect damage ability where he'll dash towards the enemies and perform like a spinning kick that will launch enemies back and deal damage to nearby enemies in that area of effect. He has an ability to heal himself, which is super OP. So he can literally self-sustain himself by just healing. So if he's in trouble, he can go to a place or run back. And plus he has a triple jump, so he can get out of there really quickly and just heal to full HP. Now, talking about he can jump multiple times, he has 3 consecutive jumps that he can do, and it actually launches him forward quite a bit, giving him some momentum. And if you pair that up with characters that are in the air, as well as characters that are running away, you can literally launch yourself towards the enemy, potentially kill flying characters quite frequently. He then has the Dragon's Defense. This is like a mini defensive buff that he gets by using his right click. Now it'll block incoming attacks and he'll gain damage reduction once he exits his defensive stance. Now this is really OP because it also gives him bonus health and he can strike back with his flurry of melees. And in combination with all of this, these two abilities, the one where he throws his multiple punches with this Dragon Defense, is super OP because he literally, not only is he getting health bonus, but he's also getting more defense from incoming damage, and he's able to just immediately strike back with a flurry of punches. Iron Fist ultimate is called Living Chi, and what this does is it buffs every single ability that Iron Fist has. So it pretty much just makes him super OP, and you can imagine with all his already OP abilities, the ultimate is just the cherry on top. He can also run on walls, which is one of his passives, and if he gets assists in taking down enemies, he will be able to absorb their chi and gain bonus health on top of that. I think that's one of the most OP things about him, is that he's just able to maintain his health so well without dying. There's been multiple times where I've come up against an Iron Fist and I'm dealing so much damage and his health is barely moving because of all of these health bonuses. But yeah guys, that is going to be my top 5 characters you should be playing in Marvel Rivals. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.